Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown. And today we are looking at the brand new self-titled record from The Ghost Inside. This is the fifth studio album from this American melodic metalcore band, but perhaps more notably and importantly, this is the first album The Ghost Inside have put out following a devastating accident in November of 2015. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, on November 19th, 2015, The Ghost Inside's tour bus collided with a tractor trailing, killing both drivers immediately and hospitalizing the entire band as well as two other crew members. Most of them have since somewhat recovered, at least physically speaking. They've even managed to play a few shows here and there, all with the exception of drummer Andrew Tastiak, who unfortunately had to have his leg amputation due to the severity of his particular injuries. And this is all without mentioning whatever mental scars may be left behind in the wake of this horrible tragedy. I mean, I remember personally when my mother was in a car accident 8 or 9 years ago, and I remember that it took her a long time to really feel comfortable sitting in a car again. For these reasons alone, a brand new studio album from The Ghost Inside is immediately somewhat of an emotional triumph, not just for us as fans, but for the band themselves, for their friends and for their families, and for the people that were unfortunately lost in this horrible tragedy. I mean, honestly, you'd have to be a pretty bitter and cold-hearted person not to feel something for The Ghost Inside on a basic human level going into this record and coming out of it. But with all due respect, emotional triumph, perseverance, vulnerability, and catharsis do not single-handedly make a great record. They can certainly help, but at the end of the day, the music still needs to be up to par. I mean, The Satanist isn't considered a great record just because Nurgle is sad and angry. The music is on fucking point, man. It's ferocious, it's in your face, it's spiteful, it's vengeful. It's as if Nurgle is literally spitting in the face of God throughout the entirety of that record. Not just through his words, but through his riffs, through his vocals, through his arrangements. The Ghost Inside emotionally definitely has the ability to reach those levels, and I imagine for many diehard fans it already has, or at least will soon. But strictly from a musical viewpoint, it does stand as a somewhat unoriginal and even underwhelming dose of melodic metalcore, one that sticks far too close to the now tired and dated tropes and conventions to be anything other than that for anyone who didn't already know the story of Ghost Inside going into this record. I mean, everything that defines cookie-cutter melodic metalcore is here. The abrasive, throaty vocals, breakdowns, some like kind of poppy, anthemic kind of choruses with a little bit of a post-hardcore angst and edge, a lot of ambient and airy guitar chords often introducing and closing tracks, at times implemented in the middle of a track, perhaps before a chorus, perhaps after a chorus, to add some kind of extra emotional resonance. I mean, even as the album opens, before we even have the chance to really sink our teeth into any new music, the band very quickly laid down a pretty generic barrage of breakdowns. As if to say, let's just get to the fucking point. We know that's all you core kids care about, so let's just give you the fucking breakdowns. I can totally understand why The Ghost Inside would want to play things a little bit safer musically on this record, not just because it's been a long time since their last record, but because they probably don't feel especially comfortable going into brand new territory just yet. But I do think that there are ways that they can twist and bend this genre to make something a little bit more unique without alienating your core audience. Bands like Killswitch Engage and August Burns Red have proven many times over the years that there's a lot more wiggle room in the realm of melodic metalcore than one would initially assume. But hey, to be entirely fair, at the end of the day, this doesn't fully matter. Because at the end of the day, what's really going to bring people in is the Ghost Inside themselves. Their performances, their confidence, their character, their perseverance, and their story. which they do tell with genuine fire, with genuine remorse, with genuine veracity, and with genuine humility even at times. Particularly in regards to a lot of the lyrics on this record. Metalcore's standard themes of never giving ups and resilience feel all the more poignant in the hands of a band like The Ghost Inside, who have been challenged many, many times over these last 5-6 years. Take, for instance, this very blunt yet hopeful passage from Still Alive. Today I woke up to a brand new me, free from the times of tragedy. 4 years to find clarity, and now I'm right where I need to be. Going on to say, you fall, you get up, you never let up. I found my way through the darkest night, I couldn't give up. It's time to live up to everything I said I stand behind. It feels as if Jonathan Vigil here is reaching out to an audience from behind a podium like some kind of motivational speaker. And I especially appreciate that The Ghost Inside are not only comfortable enough to reopen some of those wounds, but also to directly address some of the media outlets reporting this story at the time. Saying, talking tragedy like a broken record, how many times must I relive this hell? Are you really by my side, or do you just want another story to tell? Fuck this fake sympathy. You're just a snake in disguise. These are sharp words for sure, and they're not necessarily unjustified either. I mean, I honestly can't think of a single article about this band in the last 4 years, from Loudwire, Metal Hammer, Metal Injection, Metal Sucks, and many more, that have not felt the need to thoroughly detail and recount every single bit of information surrounding this tragedy. I'm sure their hearts are in the right place, but one can't help but wonder after a while if on some level this is being done simply because they know that if they do this, people will click on those videos. People will read those stories because people are inherently drawn to drama and horror. And as a result of that, these guys, every time they've opened their laptops, every time they've gone to one of these sites, have had to read these articles and have had to relive these experiences. And you do honestly feel the agony of them reliving those moments within these lyrics. I think I'd even go as far as to say that this is probably the best written track on the record with that in mind, or at least the most emotionally effective. I would give this album a 3 out of 5. I still stand by my criticisms of the actual music, but I will concede that the music, while generic, is hardly incompetently performed or produced. In fact, quite the opposite. I would say that The Ghost Inside have never sounded quite this emotionally inspired or open. It's everything that it needs to be, not just for the band themselves, but for their fans, their friends, their family, and for everyone that has authentically, honestly, and full-heartedly supported The Ghost Inside over these last few years. It may not rise to the levels of The Satanist, at least for me, but that being said, if you love melodic metalcore and if you love The Ghost Inside, it may rise to those levels for you. And no judgment, honestly, because while this may not be an Album of the Year contender for me, it was nonetheless a very powerful and interesting listen. I at least got something out of it, and I am genuinely curious to see The Ghost Inside perhaps continue to actually expand into some new territories moving forward now that they've got their confidence and their stride back. So, 3 out of 5. Is it a little overblown? Yeah, probably, to be honest, if we're looking strictly at the music. But looking at the entire album, looking at the story, it's overblown for the right reasons. They've earned this moment, and I have no intention of robbing it from them. 3 out of 5 might not be for everyone, but it'll be a hell of a ride for the people that it is for. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? Thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately, and you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.